And welcome to another episode of URC Chumps podcast. As you can see, we have the lovely Sam from the Black Feather that Jacques and myself were on yesterday. I'll put a link to that in this episode. Sam, how are you doing?
Do you want the honest answer or shall I lie?
Honest.
Honest, but sad after a weekend. Can't even pretend to lie about that. But you know what? That's well, she's used to a bit of heartbreak, aren't we?
But I
So,
mean,
you know, I felt this way before. But Christmas is coming. She's okay.
if I'm correct, your husband's Scottish, so shouldn't there have been some celebration in the
Husband
house?
Scottish. It can sometimes be quite a niggly household. Because don't know if you guys have noticed, but Wales, Scotland usually falls somewhere on Valentine's Day. Um, Usually around about that date in February, so it can get a little bit niggly. Not even gonna lie.
My wife used to be an All Black supporter, so what we used to do is whoever wins gets to choose where we go out.
Um, Deep down, I'm an All Black. I know we've said this before. Jack, don't give me that sass. Oh, just don't give,
I,
just don't.
He's
I think you
already
just become
started.
Dora's favorite person.
Just let's not. Um, Started that love affair with the All Blacks quite early on. My dad was a Safa fan. My dad was in the Merchant Navy and he spent some time in South Africa because he managed to fall off the mast of a ship and damaged his leg quite badly. So he ended up in hospital in South Africa
Down in
for
Simonstown.
quite a while. So he was out there, I think, for about 6 to 12 months recovering. So he had a soft spot for you guys, but I don't know what it was. I think seeing being a 5-year-old and seeing the haka being done kind of caught me for life, really. So I did
Oh.
have some happiness on the weekend, but it was kind of second-hand happiness, shall we say. And I'm sorry, Jack hates me now.
Not at all. Not at
We'll
all.
get to him.
I'll keep quiet. I'll wait.
Yeah.
I'll wait my turn.
Dara, how are
Finally,
you?
someone has kept him quiet.
Okay,
I
now I'm
never
greeting
thought
you.
I'd see today.
How is Dara doing with his
Uh,
22-19 win?
we love to see it, don't we? We love to see it. Uh, I mean, happy. I can't get bullied this week, so we're in a better position, I suppose, because we beat Argentina and South Africa didn't. So
Oh.
How can we beat Argentina if we played someone else?
you didn't beat Argentina the first time you played them this year. We did.
You see, there we go, because we played them twice, remember? But anyway,
We beat them
Yeah,
that.
but the
Jacques,
second time they got about 5 red cards.
Jacques, how are you doing?
You know what? I'm fantastic. It wasn't a good day at work. I had the privilege of meeting lovely Sam. Nice to meet you. It was all fun. But when it comes to this, always happy to see Dora's little face. Glad to see he can smile a bit because now he knows what it feels like to win something.
And I bloody love it.
Yes, and while we're talking about that, let's talk about the very close game that Ireland could have lost to Argentina. Dara, go for it, since this is your countryman, your fellow champions there.
What a day. No, I was happy that we won. That was the main thing, to win the game, of course, as always is, but especially after the way we just kind of didn't turn up against New Zealand. First half was very good. Lots of positives. Jack Crowley controlled the game, scored two. We had about 10 minutes, 15 minutes where we looked like ourselves. We scored two tries. Should have been three. Ty Byrne dropping the ball over the line, which is just the one in 100, really, where two guys tackled him at the same time. One of them dislodged the ball. And we were 19-6 up at halftime. I think it was 19-6. It could have been 19-9, but we had a healthy lead at halftime. And I thought, playing well here, really doing damage, really kind of tearing Argentina open. Second half was very poor. Was a lot more like that All Blacks game. Argentina, they stuck it up the jumper, really. They kept it in the forwards, and we just couldn't get the ball off them. Uh, Couple of standouts for Argentina. I thought Thomas Albornoz, again, was unbelievable. He has been unbelievable for Argentina every time he started for them. He kicked all his kicks. He was good under the high ball. He's a guy to watch for me. He's a really good 10. Juan Cruz Malia scored a soft try we gave away. Two or three players should have brought him down, but it's magical from him. He's one of those X Factor guys.
But we did
I
say that
thought
last
Juan
week.
Marti,
We did say last
yeah,
week that you're going to have to watch out for the forwards because those forwards don't just roll away easy. They were going to come hard at you. And
yeah,
they definitely put you under pressure.
they definitely did. And I thought some of the back row, I thought Juan Cruz Malia and Oviedo were both exceptional as well. But we held on. We got another penalty kick kind of towards the end, and we held on. That last play, we were lucky. I thought that we were offside twice, what I counted, and then the knock on is a bit dubious. But I've seen another angle of it. It was a knock on, but I thought Argentina should have had a penalty. But also, I thought they should have went for the drop goal because even a draw in Dublin's it's a better result than losing. And it's Argentina who have never got a result in Dublin would have been a big step to even just get a draw. I don't know why Kirby's laughing.
No, because Jacques' whole it needs to be a draw somewhere in the week.
Yeah,
Predictions.
so
It would have been my draw.
Yeah, he predicted a draw actually, so it would have been finally his draw, but he didn't get it because Argentina tried to go for the try and knocked it on. But
Listen, I'm gonna be the Grim Reaper here for Ireland. I do think they need to work on some stuff. That was a bit too close to a bit too close to comfort. Argentina, even though they lost, I do think they did put up a big their hand and they did their job. We have said this countless times over the episodes that Argentina is definitely a team that you can't underestimate when it comes to them.
Yeah, Kirby. But the thing is, the concerning thing from my end is Argentina weren't that good. Argentina have a way higher ceiling. The ones that they showed away in Wellington in that 40-point demolition job of Australia and when they beat you is so much higher than what they played at. And even the one they played in Udine against Italy the week before, I thought they dropped off slightly. So that's kind of my concerning about it. It's not like Argentina were perfect. They made a lot of knock-ons. They made a lot of kind of silly errors, especially in the first half. So, it is kind of concerning that Argentina's, kind of 86, not even 80, 70% performance probably should have beat us. But I think that Argentina are now coming to a team that they don't have to be at their best to beat you. No matter who you are, they don't have to play at 100%. Like 10 years ago, they would have had to play at 100% to beat an Ireland or South Africa. Now they don't. So that's kind of but it's a good thing for Argentina, but it's a kind of scary thing for the other tier one nations, especially the other three Santar nations.
Yeah. But then moving on with the weekend, we had Japan take on Uruguay, which to me at 36-20 was probably a lot closer than it should have been for Japan. Spain.
Good result for Uruguay, that.
Yeah, it's again putting up their hands and stuff. Spain, of course, lost to Fiji 1933.
They gave them a good game, though. They were up at half time, Spain. And Valladolid was kind of over half of it was sold out, which is good for Spanish rugby, really.
Yeah, but I mean, again, the Scots and Portugal 59-21, even though we were expecting
expected more.
Yeah, well, and the fact that Scotland won, it was those guys, if you gave them an opportunity, they took it and they celebrated like it's the best. You can see the passion in those guys playing.
A lot of them are now after the World Cup last year, a lot of them are in either the top 14 or the Pro Day. So they're playing to a very good standard of rugby now, Portugal, and they've got a lot of good players. Nicolas Martins, the flanker, he's unbelievable. I thought Appleton, the captain, was pretty good, and
Yeah, he looks like he should
yeah,
be
and
a model on
Portugal.
GQ.
Yes, he's. I'm not going to comment on that too much, but I think that Portugal were good credit. I think their defence has fallen off since the World Cup last year. I know Sam will remember the Wales Portugal game, especially where Portugal staunchly defended their line for 80 minutes and only gave up 4 tries. But their attack is just, they play rugby the right way. And, I can only give them all the credit and hope that they continue to get these tests and improve because they know how to play rugby. They play it in the proper way it should be played.
They deserve to be playing the higher games. That they do. And I think the same argument can be made with Georgia, really, in that
Oh, yeah.
opportunity, their standard can only improve.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk about Six Nations and having, the possibility to have relegations to bring the likes of Georgia and Portugal in, but who knows if that would happen. Not right now, obviously.
Yeah.
Wales would be goners.
Yeah, I'll have a few things to say about Georgia when we talk about the Italy match, definitely.
But I know we mentioned it, the Scotland-Portugal game. Scotland just looked probably a little bit more calmer than they did when they went up against the Springboks. Again, the midfield was better. I'm going to be honest. The midfield was better. They didn't have Finn Russell trying these fancy kicks, trying to outdo the Springboks from the World Cup and everything like that, trying a Tony Brown over-the-head kick in the middle of the game. They looked a lot more fluent and stuff. Yes, there's a few creases that they need to iron out, but to me, that game looked a lot better than the game against the Springboks.
They're clicking.
Yeah. I will say about Portugal as well, actually. They brought on a bomb squad of front rowers and they won about 2 scrum penalties straight away. It was unbelievable. The set piece is usually the difference between tier 2 and tier 1. The scrum more than the line out because usually the tier 2 teams just get rattled off the scrum. But Portugal, as I said, they brought on a squad of forwards and absolutely tore apart Scottish scrum, which is concerning for Scotland because playing the Wallabies this week, although the Wallabies don't have the greatest scrum in the world, we saw that on Sunday. They could target us very easily.
Yeah. Jacques, any inputs there?
I was so excited the way that Portugal. I watched the anthems because Scotland's got the most beautiful. Well, it's not an anthem for them; it's just a song, though. It's the most beautiful song in the world. So I was listening to that, and I walked out the pub and I watched a little bit of cricket, and I went back. I think it was about after 10, 15 minutes, and I was standing at the TV looking, and I couldn't believe my eyes with the type of rugby that I'm seeing from Portugal's side. It was unbelievable. The structure that they had, the hands, there was no silly passes, nothing stupid to give away silly penalties. The attack was fantastic. The defense lacked every now and again, obviously, 50 points, but I think Portugal looked fantastic. It was not something actually that I expected. I expected a much higher score than what it actually was. But I think when it comes to a team like Portugal, scoring, even if it's only one try, they celebrate that try because Portugal is not a tier 1 team. So they're playing Scotland that is, and just that the opportunity that they've got to play against these teams, and then you get the opportunity to score a try, and 3 of them, and the way that this tries were scored, it's brilliant rugby. It's brilliant attacking phases, the way they're running their lines. It's not something that I was used to. I've never seen any tier 2 or tier 3 team play. And like I said, it was amazing to watch, and it was a brilliant game both ways.
But what I will say about Portugal is last year in the World Cup, their game against Fiji in particular was one of the best rugby games I've ever watched because obviously Fiji are Fiji. We all know
Mm.
what Fiji do. Portugal played Fiji's game against Fiji, and it was a
I said
brilliant game. Portugal
I
won it.
said the exact same thing. I remember that.
But what I like about Portugal is the six-minute principles. No matter who they're playing, they play the same brand of rugby, attacking
Mm.
rugby that gets people in stadiums and gets people on their feet. And that can only go one way, really. And if you keep trying it and you keep doing it, they're going to get results out of it eventually.
But that's the
Definitely.
thing. Like bottom tier rugby is that exciting, fancy rugby that everybody wants to watch. But then our tier one nations, that's the one where they're going for those results. They're going for their win. You don't get that beauty as much. It depends on how you look at the game. Myself being an ex front row, I love watching the scrums. And the fact that we've made the scrums for South Africans such a beautiful, intricate part of our game, it's beauty to me. But then I'm not a backline player, so I'm not one for the flashy moves and the fancy overhead passes and stuff like that. But then talking about the Springboks, they beat a not so happy England 29-20. I do have to
Best
say
referee ever.
that the first try from Teslin, you can't blame Freddie Stewart for that try. If you look where he was trying to mark like three guys in wide space.
The only thing is he came across too quickly, didn't he? And he made himself vulnerable to getting just rinsed and,
I think it was Ben Young. Yeah, Ben Young said he was probably a millisecond off from where he needed to be. Yeah. But also Cheslin at the right time had the right frame of mind to take like a slight step back and then across and then to the try line.
The second try is one I really took kind of interest to. That's the new laws, isn't it? With the kind of caterpillar rucks and the refs speeding the ruck up. Esteban, he was doing it all day. He made another charge down, but for my mind, if South Africa scored off his second one, I think it would have been called back for offside because he was offside in the second one. But this one, he timed it perfectly, gotten it. Then Marcus Smith picks up the ball, and I know he's under pressure, but you take that into contact. When a fella as big as Dutoy is running straight at you, looking to charge you down, it's only ever going to
kick it out.
I play a ruck because you're not going to get it past him, or you're very unlikely to get it past him when he's that.
Yeah, but it's the exorcist that was coming towards him, the guy that gets rid of the poltergeist that you don't even know on the field.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't want to get hit by Peter Steph du Toit. If he lost your mind, he'll kill me. Twice. No ways.
I don't want to get hit by du Toit either, but I'm not paid to get hit by Peter Steph du Toit either. If you give me a couple million quid, I might let the man break 17 of my ribs, but I get a couple of million.
No ways. I love my body.
But it does show us that hard work does pay off because, of course, du Toit doesn't have to kind of really race down on Smith. He gets that charge down and the ball falls kindly for him, but England only have themselves to blame, for my mind, for that. And then the third, we didn't talk about Grant Williams' try, which is just opportunism. Great spot by Williams. That Alex Genge is the guy marking the ruck and just snipe through it. And then, Lee Stewart for dead, runs straight under the post. That's Williams. He's so quick. And to be honest, I think he's kind of been overlooked. The fact that he doesn't usually start these big games is ridiculous for my mind. I am actually batting for a Sharks player. I do feel sick doing this. But Grant Williams is a magician and he's really hard to stop because, again, he's like Colby. He's just so quick that if you look away for 10 seconds, for 2 seconds, the guy's gone. So, I think they need to utilize him more and probably a bit better. And
which side is my Sharks side?
To your
on your left. on your left.
Yeah.
For me, watching that as a type, like I'm a quarter English, so I'm a bit like you, Dara, with your quarter Welsh. So I'm not one of these Welsh fans who will be, I'll support anybody who plays against England, but I kind of like to watch it as a neutral. And for me, I was like tweeting throughout the game. And I'm always really wary about tweeting anything to do with South Africa because I've had a battering on Twitter lately. All South African fans, I don't know what I do to you guys. I'm like catnip, just pounce. Which, to be fair, is water off a duck's back. But I'm kind of older now, and my default would usually be a swear word. But I'm kind of just block and move on now and just be like, that your mum's so proud of you. Go away.
I must be honest. Sorry, with the South Africans, we wear our hearts on our sleeves when it comes to that. It's our passion.
I love it, but no need to call me a knob.
Yeah,
Listen, I am going
they are.
stars.
They are those.
They do the same to me, Sam. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Like, literally,
Wait, what team are you supporting again?
I was called a knob. I was called a bitch. I was told that I was stupid. I've actually got a degree. I'm not stupid. I've got a really responsible job. But so I'm always quite wary.
Another word.
I work in a deli, so they can call me stupid all they want.
Do you know what? I worked in a deli as a student as well. You're doing fine.
Yes.
But from my point of view, I'm always really wary of tweeting or whatever. But I kind of only had like positive things to say because I did think that Williams try was beautiful. I thought it was great, and it was nice to see. And I was really proud of myself because I didn't even have to spell check Peter's name. I spelt it properly the entire way through. So I'm obviously something's going in by osmosis. And again, it was lovely to see him kind of coming into previous form that I'd seen him play. Like I'm not going to say that I watched everything all weekend because I didn't, which is quite unusual for me if I'm being honest. But the England game was one of the ones that I did watch the entire way through. And I just thought you shut them down beautifully in the last like 15 minutes. They just mentally couldn't hack it again.
We gave away too many penalties in that last bit of the second half, we were, I'm going to be honest, we were lucky in that second half. The fact that they kept on going for the corners to try to get more penalties where they should have gone for poles and actually chipped away at that and changed the whole dynamic of the game. And you guys know, I've said it in the past, you take that risk. It either pays off and you win the game or it doesn't pay off and you could lose the game. But it's the same thing with going for points. You're going for the 3 where you're hitting the 3 where maybe a 7-point would have actually worked out better for you. I mean, it's the same thing with the next game we'll talk about with France and New Zealand. But they kept on chipping away and South Africa just boom, boom, boom. And then Andre Pollard with the longest crossbar challenge, plotting it over and everything. Yeah.
Kirby, I said to Sam now on Twitter there on Sunday, I said that Gatland's tactics were outdated. And I believe that I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But England used outdated tactics on Saturday. One-up runners, there's no pop passes, there's no deception, there's no pods of 4, there's no person in the boot. It's so easy to defend, and South Africa found it too easy to defend because every time you just have George Martin or someone, good carriers, standing right there, one of them running into contact. South Africa made a ridiculous amount of turnovers on Saturday because it was so easy and so transcribed to defend. Maybe in 2010 it would have worked. Not in this day and age. You can't just have one-up runners unless you're playing a team that's probably 20 times worse than you. You can't have that against a top nation. And that's where England came unstuck. There was no creativity in that England team. I think Marcus Smith.
It's too analytical.
It's
too analytical.
Marcus Smith, like as much as you love him or hate him, he's usually very creative. He was very subdued on Saturday. And
But he
then
looks like he's
the
picked
rest of
up
England,
weight, but the wrong kind of weight.
yeah, but he seemed very subdued, and I thought that England didn't get the ball out to the backs very much. I thought Tommy Freeman had a great game in terms of chasing kicks and really putting himself about, but he didn't get the ball. They didn't give him every time Tommy Freeman got the ball, he had to work extremely hard to get it himself. And that's you need your wingers to get the ball if you want to win big test matches. Like Colby and Arenza caused absolute havoc against England by getting the ball and bouncing on people, and just Colby scored a magnificent try. But yeah, England were just too telegraphed. They tried to play the wrong type of game against South Africa. And they cost themselves because they were 5 meters out. Luke Cowan-Dickie, who I couldn't believe he was in the starting 23. It's played his first test in about 4 years. Dummies a line out. I'm all for trying out new people, but Cowan-Dickie's had his day. He's not exactly a new player. There's a reason he's been out of the international circuit, and he's playing in a poor Exeter team. I don't know why you bring him back in against a top tier nation like that. Play him against Japan this weekend, but yeah.
We also need to talk about what's happening behind the scenes, because Joe Marler, before this came out, said he's officially retiring, I think, 92, 93 caps.
96 caps.
96 caps. The fact that he was at the training session and he was with it, and he just turned around, he says, I'm not enjoying this anymore. And that comment that I made last night and everything, which I'll probably say again later on, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I think right now, Borthwick is trying things that are not working. It's outdated, and he's making himself become the villain. He's living too long for what he needs, and there's too much happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, especially the Felix Jones stuff. I couldn't believe it. They didn't.
Yeah.
He's still contracted to the RFU. He would know pretty much everything about South Africa, yet nobody contacted him about ways to work around South Africa's system. And even England coaches, Richard Wigglesworth, who's the number 2 in England, didn't even know Felix Jones was still contracted to the RFU or not. When you see things like that, it's ridiculous.
But it happens, and I think the problem with Borthwick is, like, I watch a lot of English Prem as well.
Same here.
And I will watch that. But I think it was a step too far for him, perhaps, to step up to England.
Yeah.
He wasn't quite ready to do that, but he is a very analytical stat coach. So he does base a lot of his play and his things around that. So statistically speaking, he's probably looked at performances for South Africa and come up with a formula that he thinks is going to work. The problem with that is you're not playing what's in front of you. And I think you've got to play what's in front of you. You can have all the set pieces, the training plans, the what ifs and maybes, and your contingency plans and everything else. But if that does not go to plan on field, what is your plan B?
But I mean,
what is your plan B?
That is the thing with Rassie as well.
That's exactly what I said last night as well. There was a time that the Springboks couldn't adapt. When their plan A doesn't work, they continue to see and wait and hope that it does work. But over the last couple of years, at least they had that mindset shift that if their way doesn't work, we have a plan B. And if the top tier nations can't do that, then they're going to be in trouble. They're going to lose silly games. Then it's, sorry to bring it up again, then it's going to come to a Fiji-Wales scenario where you expecting to win this game, but the way that your opponent comes up at you,
you fold.
You fold and you can't stand up again.
Or then you get put under pressure and you make a horrible decision by putting a full fly half at wing.
Do you know what really annoyed me about that though? And what really annoyed me about that was that everybody knew that if something was to happen, Ellis Bevan was going to come on and they was going to shift around. That was talked about, that was changed. there was a communication error, something between the radios and everything else, and you could see Sam Costello was really out of his depth, and that boy gets a bashing in like the public eye in Wales. Everybody in Wales has got an opinion about that position in Wales, because that's the position that everybody thinks we've got a factory for, and what we're known for. And he gets a proper battering. He has played winger once before in his career. But the fact that what really annoyed me was the fact that you've actually admitted that in the press and said it was a mistake we'll have to look into, because nobody else knew until you said that. So why have we admitted that? We look stupid. And there's other things that have been admitted around that and everything else. Just a PR nightmare. And it's as if you kind of go, oh, look over there. You're deflecting away from what the issue is. The issue is not that we made a mistake and Sam Costello went on. The issue is that we were shit.
But I think I asked that question on your YouTube channel. Like, is it not to the point that you don't have the utility players and the lack of depth to have utility players?
I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago on the pod, and I will read around sport and everything else. And I've read a lot of rugby memoirs by coaches, etc., and everything else. One of the things that impressed me really with the All Blacks, and I'm not quite sure if you do that in South Africa, excuse the ignorance, but when they're little, they're taught to be utility players. So they're not like, you're 6 foot whatever, you're going to be this position, you're short and round, you're going to be a prop. They're literally taught to play wherever on the field.
Even Etzebeth was a centre.
Our kids aren't taught that. Yeah. They're just like, this is your shape, this is what you're gonna be. Now, for me personally, that may not be where your talent lies. My nephew, for example, I'm quite a young auntie. I was 15 when my nephew was born, so I kind of took him through schoolboy rugby and everything else. My nephew's just over 6 foot, but he's the type of kid that you want to punch his face in, that he can turn his hand to any sport. Cricket, football, rugby. He had a Welsh cap for rugby league. First time he got picked for the team. Never played rugby league before, just got picked up, got given a Welsh cap. My nephew would have loved to been a 10. Loved to have been a 10. No. That's where he wanted to play, just no talent. But he was then coached and brought on that ultimately he was a Jack Morgan. It seems simple at that moment. That's where his skill lies.
I think that's an issue because in Ireland, I'm just going to say this: I'm still a schoolboy, obviously, but the season we played only started in mid-September. I played in both the forwards and the backs this year, and a lot of people I'm usually kind of a number 7 or a centre, but I've also played full back, wing, and 10. But that might be the issue in Wales, where I played 5 positions in 2 months. Some kids in Wales might play 5 positions in 10 years.
Well, when I played with Jacques, I was actually a lock. I think the one game I was 8th man, and we still came up with our own calls. The Bulls and the Lions were going which way we were going to go. And I mean, I've literally played 1 to 8 at club level. Marco for Staden, he was a hooker. That's why he was able to also. They had the record to say that he had gone into hooker. That's why he was able to do it in the World Cup. But the thing is, if here we go, okay, cool. We see you in this position. We can actually put you in. I mean, like I said, even Etzebeth was center, and he went to the first team practice or the first team trials, and the coach said, "No, you are not a center." And he's like, "What? But I've played center my whole." He says, "No, if you want to play my team, you're going to be a lock." And he became a lock, and look at him now. Like,
Tomas Ahern was a fullback for his whole career up until he was 18, and he's our best flanker probably at the moment.
Yeah.
But you lot are in grow bags down there, though, weren't you? Because I was trying to find the picture actually to send it to. I have no problem. I have no shame in asking anyone for a selfie. I do not care, right? I got no shame. The
Yeah.
boys from my pod will tell you. And I was used to work in Cardiff city centre, and I ran into about 6 or 7 South African players. Now I had heels on, but I'm 5'2" normally. So I was about 5'6" in my heels. Oh my God. I looked like a munchkin from the Wizard of Oz. And Exbeth was one of those players. And I just didn't even come up to his armpit with heels on. It was insane.
Did you ever
But
see that photo of him with Conor McGregor giving like a fist bump?
yeah, like honest to God, and they were huge. And we know we're never going to be the biggest in Wales. We know we're not going to have that. But there's other things that, there's other beautiful things that we can bring to the game with our skill set. You know, if you've looked back to the 70s and the early 80s, how beautiful our handling was, and that space and that turn of speed we've got. So those are things that we can bring to the game. It's just we don't enhance it. And there's so much that's going on with regional rugby and grassroots rugby and with the Welsh Rugby Union that it's falling apart. The wheels are coming off. And it is really crap right now to be a Welsh rugby fan.
Let's just put a pin into that because we'll get to that, especially at the end and everything like that. But we'll quickly talk now. France versus New Zealand.
Oh, what a game. What a game.
What a
What a
game. But
game.
it's that typical thing that I said. They went for 3 and they were chasing the game in the last 4 minutes and they lost it instead of trying to go for the corner and get the penalty, get a try.
Now, the one thing
how
that,
lovely DuPont is, though. DuPont is
yeah,
just beautiful to watch.
the one thing that annoyed me that came out after this game, I'm sure you all saw it, one of the New Zealand podcasts, I forget who exactly said it, but someone came out and made a remark saying, "Oh, Amish Kelly shouldn't be refereeing these big games because he's not from a tier one nation." Now that really, really annoyed me because I love Georgian rugby. I don't know what it is about Georgian rugby, but I think it's because the first time I ever watched Georgia, they beat Tonga in the 2015 World Cup, and nobody expected them to. And ever since then, I've loved Georgia,
But him
and
as
I
a
love
ref,
tier two.
I will be honest, him as a ref, he's not the best, but
For my
he is
mind,
consistent. No, he
correctly,
is consistent. He is very consistent. This
yeah.
is what I'm saying. He's not the best, but he is consistent. So for that level of game, I do not have a problem with him refereeing it.
But yeah, for this Kirby, I had an argument with a New Zealand supporter, and he was blaming the ref, and I said, "You had 4 minutes to go, and you got a penalty 10 meters from the French line, and you kicked it over the bar, expecting that you go back. You cannot blame the referee when you make silly decisions like that. At the end of the day, I'm not going to say his best game. I like Amish Kelly a lot. I think he's a great ref. I thought he had a mixed day at the office. But when you make silly calls at the end of the match, you cannot then just point the finger at the referee. And when New Zealand made a load of mistakes, like for the BA try, when they dropped the ball, Ramos just picked it up, and Caleb Clark was lazy running back, and BA just sprinted past him. And other things such as that, for my mind, you cannot blame the referee for poor performances. And New Zealand made some silly errors that cost them the game a lot more than Amish Kelly cost them the game.
Okay, but Jacques, here comes a question to you. Doesn't this sound like what the All Blacks used to say about us a couple of years ago? They always used to blame the ref.
Yes. Now, there's now to fully understand, you must understand my father. My father would much rather watch cricket in the rain than watch rugby in the rain. All right? And cricket doesn't get played in the rain. That's how much he knows about rugby. All right? But we were watching a game one day and the All Blacks were complaining, ref, 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 ref. And my father said something that stuck and I can't forget it. A good team plays so that a ref can't ref them. So if you are good enough, you don't make the silly mistakes, the ref don't
get
blow.
penalised.
You can't get penalized. And if you take Saturday, I was sitting and I'm watching and I'm thinking to myself, why on earth, if you've been on the front foot for the last 6 to 7 minutes, you get a penalty, you are, I think they were behind, 4 points,
Yeah,
and 4 minutes to go, he kicks to post, and I'm thinking to myself,
yeah,
how do you
that's
do that? You're on the front foot. You can see that the French are struggling with their defense. Why not go for the corner? Get the maul going. The chances, as always, is 50-50. You either score or you don't. But there was also a 50-50 chance of the kick going over or not. Luckily,
yeah.
it's
Well,
McKenzie.
I think New Zealand learned the lesson that, you cannot expect to get back up there because I don't think they got out. They didn't get past the 10-meter line of their own half for the last 4 minutes of the game because
They
France
couldn't.
they
They
couldn't
shut
because
them
you
down.
can't in that situation you can't kick it. So you have to play your way out. France just bombed the kickoff as long as possible into New Zealand 22. New Zealand just trapped, they couldn't get out, and the French defence under Sean Edwards is just so good that he can trap you. So I think New Zealand did learn the valuable lesson of don't be. Is it cockiness? I think it might be, to just assume, oh, we're going to
But
get back up there. We'll have a chance to go for the win again.
you see,
But
this is where Russie came in so cleverly before the game against France in the World Cup quarterfinal. They had this discussion going, but France always pumps it down, expecting you to kick it out, so their forwards don't have to run all the way. That's why they went with, as soon as that kick came to Damian Willemse was like, scrum, because no one's done it. Then all of a sudden, because it was done, all of a sudden now the World Rugby's like, oh no, we must change the rules. No, it was a tactical decision to make their forwards run towards the point and have a scrum, knowing that we would most likely get a penalty so we can actually get out. And actually, it was a clever move. Now, all of a sudden, because it was too clever and no one else had thought about it in the past, no, now the rules change. If you call a mark, you either tap it or go. You can't have a scrum.
yeah, well, to bring it back to the match, and I've just been bashing New Zealand, I have to give them some positives because obviously to lose by only a point for France isn't the worst result ever. I thought Cam Roigard, they shouldn't have taken him off for my mind, but Cam Roigard was one of the, if not the best player on the pitch. He was exceptional. He was just a nuisance. He kind of just kept getting. Dupont was great, but he just kind of kept annoying Dupont. His try was brilliant opportunism again to kind of latch off Aldrit and getting that passing channel and one arm kind of flick it back into his body to run in. It's a brilliant try. I thought Tubo Vai was a nuisance in that second row, especially at line out time. And the French line out is usually because you've got Niafu and Flamand, who are two of the best second rows in the world. Valle did stand up really well against them. But to kind of go on what the French done well, I think Flamand is my. Oh, he was unbelievable. He was everywhere. He's not the biggest player in the world, but he's just such a nuisance. He's everywhere. He does everything well, and he's so hard to counteract when he does that. I thought that the wingers, especially B.A.B.R.A., he's so quick for that try. Caleb Clark has 10 meters on him, and B.A.B.R.A. finishes 5 meters ahead of Caleb Clark. And Caleb Clark is quite quick. So, I mean, he's exceptional. I thought Buros had a brilliant debut at fullback. He's been swapped out this week for Louis Barret. But I thought Buros had a very good debut. It's very hard to make your debut against New Zealand. And also, a word on the pre-match. That was the coolest thing I've ever seen. For the haka and for the first of all, you get La Marseillaise, which is for my mind, and I love the Welsh anthem as well. But the best anthem in rugby, La Marseillaise, La Marseillaise at Stade de France.
Not
La
listening to you.
Marseillaise at the Stade de France is the
Dara,
best
they are
anthem
cheese eating
in the
surrender
world.
monkeys. This is what you
Where's
need
the
to be
mute?
aware
Where's
of.
the mute button? Where's the mute button?
It is the best anthem in the world. And then the haka with the kind of lights turned off and everyone has their phones out. Oh, it was just incredible.
And dead silence.
And dead silence.
That was
good.
amazing.
I think you said it best last week, Dara, is when you go to France, the people are there to watch the game. They are not there for the selfies. They are not there for the clouts and the statuses and stuff like this. They
They're
are
there to
there to
watch the main
watch.
match.
It's the
And I
passion
think
of the
Murray. I
forward
think the
team.
only other. I think from home is supposedly like that. Rome was meant to be a cauldron, and Murrayfield, the atmosphere
Love
at
Murrayfield.
Murrayfield. Now, I have, I have kind of point of reference, obviously a bit of a biased point of reference, knowing that people, but like Ireland's the Aviva's a glass house. I can say that I've been to a few matches up there. Twickenham has always been. People have been complaining about the atmosphere in Twickenham for 10 years,
Become shit.
and yeah, and Cardiff,
Bottom line.
uh, Cardiff, it has its days, but I
Cardiff
think
is
at the
filled with
moment,
people with daffodil heads on. Were there.
yeah, and but
Just
Wales have a lot of
annoys
day
me.
trippers as well. Do you know what I mean? I mean the atmosphere, like that game against England, when they won, was it 33-3 or 33? Uh, and I remember, as I'll go back to my grandmother, she's Welsh, but she was always proud Irish, but I've never seen her. She started crying when the anthem was played. And, it was just, you could see it, and you could see, like, Sam Warburton could barely even speak. And, like, to bring it back to those days, you knew, I think, who said it? One of the England players said about 5 years later, you knew, he said, the anthem was sung, and I said to the guy next to me, we've lost this game. You
Screamed.
cannot win you cannot win in that atmosphere. And I think Wales
Who
have
are you
lost that
looking
game.
at?
I just look around, Jacques. I just look around. You
I'm-
know
I'm
this by now.
I'm
He's
trying to
afraid-
understand. I'm trying to understand.
Pops,
If
there's always a snide remark. I can't even say anything on this bloody thing.
He's afraid Peter Stick's gonna come.
Who are you
crashing
looking at?
I just have to break the ice every now and again. It just has to
Yeah,
happen.
he has to
It's a
remind us all
Jacques
that
thing.
he's still here. Yeah, he has to remind us all that he's still here. Yeah, basically, the French rugby public go to watch the match, and the atmosphere sounded incredible. And as I said, when they start playing the Marseillaise, everybody sings it. It's brilliant to kind of listen to. And I thought the choir ruined that in the World Cup because, you can hear the choir a lot as well. But back to just letting the home fans sing their anthem, it's amazing. I love La Marseillaise.
I can't
The
remember
choirs
which
do
game
really
it. I can't remember which game it was, but there was a South African game where the lady singing the national anthem actually just stopped because the crowd
Yeah.
was so strong. I think it's the same thing here in South Africa. You start playing the national anthem, no matter what color you are, you sing every single part with your heart and everything like this. And when people say, "Oh, the Afrikaans version
When the
Ek
back-
Blow,"
Yeah.
it is maybe sung with a bit more gusto. It's just because it's a lower part of the song, so it comes out a lot more bassy.
When the bagpipes stop at Murrayfield as well, that's incredible. Every time you
fine
can hear it
chilling.
through your TV. When the bagpipes stop at Murrayfield and you can just hear the crowd, it's unbelievable.
That's a
But then-
proper old-fashioned ground as well.
It
Let's
is, yeah, it's
talk.
proper rugby ground.
Let's talk about the next game, which is Italy versus Georgia, which just looked like it was a slugfest back and forth, and I mean in a good way.
Yeah, it was an absolute. I watched it. I watched it in full. It was a kind of territorial match. You can tell how much it meant. They really don't like each other, Italy and Georgia. They really don't. There was a lot of scuffles. There was a lot of off the ball stuff. First half, Georgia scored two of the best tries of the year, back to back. First was a very Richard Cockrell move. Now I know, like Sam will probably know this more. Obviously, watching Richard Cockrell teams in England in the last 10 years, he has very silly little moves, but an absolute beauty sent. Tabashke under the posts, and that was to put Georgia in front. Then Ninyashvili, just unbelievable dance past five, six Italians, set the scrum half away. Half time, Georgia were winning, and they deserved to because their defence was unbelievable. Italy made 8 visits to 22 in the first half and scored 6 points. Like, that's not what you see from a tier 2 team. And the Georgian scrum, which is usually their kind of rock, was actually poor in that first half. Second half, Georgia come out, they won a massive scrum penalty. You saw Cockrell up in the box giving it. loads, and I thought Georgia would have it, but you can't
43 minutes
defend
without
for
scoring.
you can't defend forever, and they gave away a yellow card penalty try because the winger, I think it's Tabanzadze again, just kind of sticks his arm up and slaps it. He tries to regather it from my mind, but if you put one arm up and you're 2 meters away from the line, you are going to get yellow carded and you are going to give away a penalty try. Then Italy, it was just a case of just battering and battering when Georgia had a man off and they scored again. Then the game kind of devolved. Georgia were knackered. You could see Georgia, like they won a penalty in the 75th minute, and about 5 of their 6 of their players just went down. It's so hard to play at this intensity, and they gave everything, and they had to defend so well. I was really proud of Georgia. I thought Italy showed heart. Like I think 5 years ago, Italy would have lost that game because they would have went far behind. Head would have dropped. They weren't scoring, but Georgia gave it all. And Richard Cocker's interview after the game, and I agree with him saying about the kind of new what's it, Rugby Nations or whatever, when the 12-team format that they're kind of thinking of bringing in. He said,
Yeah.
we just want to be given a chance.
Yeah.
We want something to improve us, help us. I said for years that, and as I said, I love Georgian rugby. I said for years, 7 nations, get rid of one of the break weeks in the 6 nations because everyone will get a break week if there's 7 of them anyway. And then it'd be either the same time or a week extra. Excuse my maths, I'm terrible at it. But, what would be the harm? Because I think Georgia are ahead of what Italy were when Italy came in to the 6 nations.
But that's
Because
why
you
I
could
said
see that they beat Italy in Georgia 2 years ago. They beat Wales in Cardiff. They came 3 points away from beating the best ever Italy side, which has been this year's side, the best ever Italy side in Genoa. What more do they have to do realistically? They haven't played Ireland, England, or France in the past 5 years, so it's kind of hard to give a reading on those three. And they play Scotland only
It'll
once.
elevate them. It'll elevate
And
them, and it will
like you
help.
see at the under-20 World Championship, Georgia have been in the World Cup of that, not the World Shield, for about 6 or 7 straight years. Shows that there's only they're getting better and better. And Spain were in it as well this year. There's interest in these countries. Like Tbilisi, for the Black Lions game against Gloucester, sold out, and that stadium is about 30,000 that they played in. So get Georgia in, get them, because it's their national sport. They love it. They die for that over there. And you see the fans, at the football, and a lot of them were coming out at the Euro saying they're just massive rugby fans that picked up football as something to go to. Just I can't advocate enough for Georgia, and Fiji is the other one. I think Fiji should have been put in the rugby championship after the last World Cup.
But that's why I believe for the 6 nations, even down here for the Southern Hemisphere, there needs to be a second division that whoever wins that one replaces the bottom. So So unfortunately, I think it was Wales.
Yeah, the Pacific Nations Cup is a great start, where you have the tier 2 nations now get a solid rock of games against each other. Your Fijis, your Japans, your Americas. But there needs to be more. There needs to be more done for tier 2 nations.
The thing is, for that, I would say Japan would have to go with you guys, and then we would have to include someone like Namibia, Chile, Uruguay, and all that in that.
Yeah, Uruguay especially. Uruguay have really impressed me over the last 2 or 3 years.
I mean, right now, one of the teams that is actually putting up their hands right now, which you don't really see covered that much, is actually Zimbabwe. Because I
heard they're really making a push for the World Cup, aren't they?
Yeah.
They beat someone there at the weekend. I saw a load of clips of it. Was it Brazil or someone South Korea? I think they beat South Korea in the last minute of play.
Yeah, 27-20.
Yeah, they scored a last minute try to beat South Korea. And they've won every game this year. They beat Namibia as well.
They have a goal for the 2027 World Cup, and they've called back on players that have been in Australia and New Zealand that can play for them to come back. I still think it was at the Stormers is part of their plans. I think they're just letting him get used to the sun before he goes there and everything like that. But we need to move on to the elephant of the week, the one that we're probably going to spend quite some time talking about, which is Australia versus Wales. I said it last night. I'm going to start off with a positive for Wales, and that is the fact that they didn't give away as many penalties as Australia. So we have to give them that, which is, listen,
And the scrum.
Yeah.
The scrum is the other main positive. The scrum was very good from a Welsh point of view.
Unfortunately, Adam Beard's now out. I found that out yesterday. As I said on your
I think
podcast,
he's out for the rest of the season as well, possibly. So
Yeah,
that
but
would potentially last the Ospreys see of him as well.
As I said in your podcast last night with Mark and Rod, is it looks like that man's about to break, like in a good way for you. Like he's going to be unleash a primal side of him, because I think he's getting frustrated.
He's a serious weapon, and Sam will agree with me here. Like when he came out, he really burst out the year Wes won the Grand Slam in 2019, and he was beside Adam Wynne Jones, and you were just going, what a player. I think, and I heard, who did I hear talk about this? I think I heard someone talk about this anyway. I talked about it with Mark, actually, from the Black Feather pod, and I talked about Adam Beard going off and how it made such a big difference. Obviously, Fassler scored a hat-trick of maul tries. Adam Beard's one of the best maul defenders in the world. But
gets so much hate online.
But if Adam Beard is your only way of stopping a team's maul, that's bad coaching. That's not the poor man. As I said, he's one of the best maul defenders in the world, and he's a great line-out caller. He went off. Wales lost 5 line-outs. They lost a ridiculous amount of line-outs, and they conceded 3 maul tries, and they kept giving away every time Australia went to the maul. They just kept marching Wales back. If he's your only line-out caller and your only maul defender, like your only main maul defender, you kind of get what goes to you when he goes off, or if he has to go off, because now you're playing South Africa, who have a better maul than Australia, who will disrupt your line-out more because they've got taller players.
But also, not just that, we have more leaders in our team. So if
they have more,
had to go off,
they have more experience. You have more experienced heads. You have more leaders. But I was to go on Australia for a minute, and then I'll let Sam kind of speak, because I think we're going to kind of neglect Australia a bit in this, which is fine. But I do want to mention them.
2 hat-tricks.
And I said 2 hat-tricks, but against England, Australia picked their grafters. And I keep using John Klein as the kind of quote to guys in Munster, because John Klein is the guy who does all the hard work off the ball. He clears the rucks, he makes the carries win. Yeah. I actually have a photo of him with him, and I love that man. But he does the hard work. For England game, Australia picked the guys who would make the hard yards, who would do the hard stuff, clear the rucks. And that worked, because they were just that bit more hard-working against things. They didn't pick their biggest ball carriers. They didn't pick their kind of biggest names. And that was tactical by Joe Schmidt. Against Wales, Australia picked their biggest names. Will Skelton came back into frame, and their big names, their big ball carriers. Nick Frost, who's an absolute weapon as well, came into the team. And they just won every collision, every tackle. They won a ridiculous amount of turnovers. They just kept hitting Wales back and back and back. And
Nick White
Wales
was quiet.
Yeah, but in the overall sense, the Australian forwards really done a job on Wales, bar the scrum, because they just won everything. They won every collision. They won the hard stuff because they just picked big guys who were just bigger than what Wales had. And it worked. And I'm interested to see what Schmidt will do against Scotland and Ireland. Will he kind of go for that? Scotland have a good few kind of grafters in their team. You think of Scott Cummings and Grant Gilchrist are guys that may not be the biggest, but they'll do the hard job for you. Will Australia match that? Will they go for that kind of power game and try and just break through? I'm interested to see, and obviously the Ireland game afterwards, I'll be interested to see what Schmidt has up his sleeve for those, but I'll let Sam talk now about Wales.
Yeah.
I think I was out in Lyon during the Rugby World Cup, and I saw a very underestimated Wales beat Australia. I did not have that on my.
No, it wasn't beat. It was annihilate.
Battered out the door.
I was being nice. It
Don't need
That
to
was
occasionally
be.
nice.
it
We
occasionally
have Jacques on
happened.
this path. We have Jacques on this podcast. There is
I
no
don't
nice.
believe that. He looks like a teddy bear. I don't believe it for a minute.
Looks are deceiving, Sam.
Do you reckon?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was very much, saw their world coming apart in the Rugby World Cup. And I kind of still had that little bit of belief in me that off the back of Fiji, we would feel quite wounded. We would want to get some pride back. And I kind of knew as soon as they walked out for that anthem, like, I know what you're saying about the anthem for France. And fair play, I do love the French. They like a little strike, they like a little bit of a revolution. So I props to them for that. But we've got an amazing anthem ourselves, and to see the passion
Yeah.
of Terry singing that anthem, you could see the passion was there, but I just didn't see a win at all. And obviously settling in and how quick off the back Australia came out of that trap, I thought, Jesus Christ, here we go again.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I'm the type of person who's a sulker, so I would normally walk away from the TV. But I thought, come on now, big girl pants, you got to watch this. And we kind of made a flurry and came back a little bit, and I thought, oh, okay, this could be a little bit better. And then the wheels just came off, completely came off. We just had no mental fortitude about us. We just didn't have any plan B. You're right, when Beard came off, it was not, it just massive.
You lost two massive parts of your entire game
Yeah,
when Adam
we
Beard
did.
came off.
But that is not an excuse, and you can't use that as an excuse. And I think the problem that you've got, which I know you guys discussed last night, was the number of caps and the youngsters that we've got. And this can go back to the first Gatland era. We relied too much on our big name players at that point in time. We didn't have a succession path. So we are reaping what we sowed right now. We did not blood and bring younger players through. And I do hold the Welsh Rugby Union responsible, because we got rid of our A team, because we got, when money got tight, we got rid of our A team, we got rid of the women's game. We cut back grassroots, we cut under 20s to bare bones, and without that structure and without that pathway, you're cutting off a whole raft of young players that can come through. So yeah, we've got the likes now where we had some brilliant individual performances, but few and far between. So I don't think, anybody can doubt that, yeah, Dewi is fantastic, but he's going to come up against you guys on the weekend, and he's not at that, like, and it pains me to say it, but he's not at that level. The same with Jack Morgan. Again, he's only young. They're like, what, 24, 25?
And Jack Morgan has had so many injuries, like long-term injuries.
Don't understand why he wasn't put on against Fiji, because he was blatantly okay. Because when he came on in the second half as a replacement, he was great. But we have got some of these outstanding players. I don't understand why we're still relying on, and I'll put my money on it. I do not like Anscombe as a player, and I will even go so far as, I've met him off the field, I do not like him as a person either.
He's
Like,
Jack,
close your ears. He's a prick.
New Zealander.
And he'll probably sue me for that, but allegedly. But from my point of view, why are we relying on that? He's not got it anymore.
But
I don't think he had it in the first place.
I said this yesterday. I mean, when we played you earlier on the year in the Qatar Cup at Twickenham, your pack had less caps than Etzebeth. We had one. one player that
Yeah.
could have the experience over a whole bunch. And I'm one of those, I believe, if you see a young player and you can identify that he's going to be a great player,
Put him on
let's use
pathway.
Sasha.
Yeah.
Or we'll use Sasha as an example, even though he's in the squad now. You take him on tour with you as a bag carrier. He's in those practices. So when he comes on, he's not worried about everything else. He's calm because he knows Grant Williams is going to pass that ball right here. And he's going to be able to put it right there for Jesse or Damien Delende. Or if he kicks it there, he knows one of the wingers are going to be running there, and that is where they're going to be.
They're in the
Because,
fold.
yeah, he's been in that
And I
fold.
think we could learn a lot. Like I watch a lot of American football as well. You know, and the practice squads that these, and I know there's a lot of money in American football. There's not a lot of money here, but these players that you've got on your practice squads, you know, they're not quite good enough to be in your first team yet, but they're there, and some of them come on phenomenally, and they make it to that first team, and they slot in so easily because they're within that team structure. And I think the problem goes, you know, the problem with Wales, and I suppose it's with any nation, if your international team is doing well, it papers over the cracks of what's going on below
Yeah.
it. There are massive problems in Welsh rugby at the moment, not just with the international teams. I don't know how much you guys have heard out in South Africa about the hoo-ha we've had with Nigel Walker and the way that he's treated the women's team. You know, and the things that have gone on there with that, which personally to me, as a woman, I find offensive. As a human being, I find it offensive. You know, and he just gets away with it as a stern talking to. I don't know if you guys noticed that every time he came on
I
the
do,
screen
yeah.
on Saturday, he was booed. And again, this just goes to show the state of Welsh rugby. Normally, with the likes of Australia and South Africa coming to town, you cannot get your hands on a ticket unless
Yeah.
I'm lucky with my season ticket with the Ospreys. I go into a ballot for tickets and everything else. Am I paying £125 to go and watch that? To have some idiot in front of me who doesn't watch rugby week in, week out with a daffodil on their head, who's probably going to drop a hot dog in my port hood and pour a pint over me. No, I'm not. I'm not going to pay 125 quid to go and watch that. You know, I'm in the lucky position where, you know, I can go and travel and I can go and support my team. You know, I've been to the likes of Murrayfield. I played amazing. I paid 45 quid and had an amazing ticket in Murrayfield. I don't know what the prices are. This is going to sound bad. I've not actually been out to Dublin to watch a game since 2000 when I went to Lansdowne Road.
Yeah.
So I need to rectify that. But
Sam, to be honest, Steve, he does know better. You are paying 100. I went to a game there a few years ago. It was against Argentina, actually, surprisingly, in 2021. Now my grandfather went with me. We paid €133
you're
for an
performing.
for a summer international against any. I don't care who's in town. And one of my teachers went up to the New Zealand match. He paid 150 for his ticket, and he was sitting. And I went up to Munster Leinster, and these are the same people now that are going to these games. There was one group of people in front of me who were showing each other their wedding photos from 10 years ago.
It
I
annoys
just,
me. It absolutely annoys
I
me.
mean, the one positive about Croke Park was, and it's a huge problem in the Aviva, you can't bring your drink out to the seats because it's just a GAA rule. It just is. You can't bring drink
Yeah.
out. But you just know it's the same thing that you have these people coming with entrees and pints and pints and pints, and they're going out and they're going in and they're going out. Like these people
And
are
they've
just getting
got a whole
tickets
thing
off.
for this break.
They're getting tickets off businesses and corporate businesses, and just they don't care. It's an after work. It's essentially like if someone like you or me just went down to a pub and had a few pints and head home. That's the rugby for them because they all
Yeah.
live.
It's
I'm
so
not trying
annoying.
to I'm not trying to make it a Leinster Munster thing, but these people all live in Dublin. because they wouldn't go from Limerick or from Galway or from somewhere to just
You,
if they didn't care. So they all
you need to
live in the
come down to
capital.
SA and come see. Yes, we have some of that, but when the game is on, people are concentrating on the game. Yeah, we
Bar
have
the
a.
people on the water slide, bar the people on the water slides in Durban.
Oh yeah,
I
Come
can,
to
that's
Durban.
Durban.
but I would love
In
to
Cape
say
Town.
that that's a new thing, and it's not, because I went to when the stadium was being built and Wales were playing England, and that Scott Gibbs phenomenal try.
Oh, Scott Gibbs.
I was actually in Wembley for that day, and um, I have been watching rugby since I was very, very little, 3, 4, maybe. Dad was mega into rugby, brother who's 10 years older, who played rugby for, one of the best youth teams in South Wales at the time. Alan Wyn Jones's starter club, one of mine. But I was brought up around rugby. I was brought up around sport. So for me, it's kind of always been that I've gone to watch live rugby. I've watched it on telly, but I've watched live rugby. And I was in that ground, and there was guys, funnily enough, who worked for BMW, who were sat near us. And the exact quote that was used, and excuse my French, was, "What do you know? Fuck off back to the kitchen."
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can name me 5 players on that field, I will gladly get up off my seat right now and I will walk out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same as you. I said that on your podcast. I've had a Munster season ticket since I was 3, so 13 years now. And I remember one day we were playing
My
some
rugby
big.
shirt I've got
I
on is
think
older than you.
I think we were playing Toulouse, and we won the game. And some fella in front of me turned around and said, and he was a French guy now, but he was living in Limerick, I'm pretty sure. So he didn't come over from France. He spun around anyway and said, "You've ruined my game by shouting." I pointed at the pitch and just said, "No, they fucking ruined your day because we
Language.
battered them out again." Excuse the language, but it does annoy me. Like, I
Yeah,
don't mind people going to rugby games for the first time, but at least care about it. Do you know what I mean?
I nearly had to
If you're
punch
gonna
up with an
go,
Aussie in a pub in my husband's from Aberdeen, and it was the Sam Warburton red card tip tackle, it wasn't it?
oh yeah, against
And an
France.
Australian tried to school me, and all 6'4" of him against 5'2" of me, and I nearly punched him in the face because he was just spoke to me like I was 5 and just dismissed me as
Yeah,
a woman, and that irritates me. But moving back to Sunday, I think that the problem that we've got is we've got no succession plan. We've got no depth. We've got no strength. There isn't a plan B, and we just did not have that mental fortitude that we've had previously. And again, I don't want to blame Warren Gatland, but I do want to blame Warren Gatland,
yeah,
because I think what he did first time round,
Mm.
fantastic. You come back for second time round, and that is big mistake, huge.
yeah.
And
Sam,
Now,
I just have to ask you a question here. I'm just gonna apologies to put in, but you've just like as you said, you were in Leon to watch you batter Australia back to the World Cup. You've seen Australia get a guy who is the best rebuilder in world rugby, Joe Schmidt. He rebuilt Leinster, who rebuilt Ireland, and now is rebuilding Australia to some tune. Are you looking at that and looking at the Australian Rugby Union, which was such a mess 12 months ago? They were running around like headless chickens. They had all these
even the
accusations.
beginning of the rugby championship, they were still
Even
running
the
around
big,
like
but
it.
I had said on this like podcast, if they want results, they should keep Smith. But are you looking at that now and see it? And our rugby union that couldn't get its house and deck of cards in order can get a guy that good and that capable. Why can't Wales?
money
But now
is
you
the
see,
bottom line. But we're stupid with our money. So we've invested, I don't know if you guys know, we've invested in a hotel. Welsh Rugby
Yeah,
Union
I
money
know.
has
I've
gone
heard of
towards a
this.
hotel.
Yes.
Why have we done that? We've given Warren Gatland a contract which is worth 580 grand a year. We've signed him on a contract until after the 2027 Rugby World Cup. Now, I've heard a rumour that there's a potential break clause in there. after the current Six Nations. So for me, it's not about should we get rid of him, can we afford to get rid of him?
Yeah.
I am personally happy to bring someone in and give them a punt, and say, right, okay, we know it's going to be a couple of years of contrition, we know it's going to be a couple of crap years. Do we bring someone in who can work with these young players, bring these young players through? Because as a fan, I can live with a heartbreak of losing if I can see progression, if I can see something building, if I can see something happening, because I've seen that in 2005 with a Grand Slam, and I've seen what went on there.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those things where Ruddock was a great coach, but player power ultimately ousted him. I hate to think what we could have done, because
Yeah.
he's doing fantastic work with the Ospreys now, and bringing their kind of Ospreys are kind of trying to do something similar to Gloucester with Hartpury College. He's trying to do the same with Swansea Uni. So a couple of the
Yeah.
signings that he's bringing through will come in via his hands, really. And for me,
Yes.
we've shot ourselves in the foot by giving such a long contract.
All right.
Because to potentially buy him out of that contract is 2 million.
I've got a question for you. All right. Let's say financially it is viable to get rid of Gatland. Bringing in someone, I said it yesterday, someone like Toby Flood right now. Someone, for me, right now, what you guys need is someone transparent, like Rassi was when he came in, and someone who's got wasps pumping through their veins.
But
Can't go with an
Kirby,
international player.
Kirby, to just put in there, when we brought in a Kiwi, right, when we needed this rebuild after Declan Kidney ran us into the ground, right? I put this forward, and I don't know if he'd leave, but Franco Smith at Glasgow, he, I'd give him I know you're going to say Saka. What he's done with Glasgow, and he turned them from a side who were mid-table, worse than mid-table. They were falling to finishing 10th, 11th in the league, to winning the league. And he's not on big money to say you wouldn't have to buy millions out of a contract with him. That's
No,
who I'd put my deck of cards on if I was the WRU.
no, I would say yes to that if it was at a Borthwick amount right now, like 5 or 6 games. But now when you double that, it's a lot worse. You need to get that pride back in, and that's why I say you need
I would love to see Sean Edwards come back, because I think the
Or Sean Edwards. He's not
thing we
Welsh,
ever
but he
did.
might as well be Welsh. He might as well be
People
Welsh.
just think, oh, do you know all he wanted? He didn't even want big money. When Gatland went, he didn't even want big money to stay with Wales. All he wanted was the security of a longer term contract for his kids for school. That's all he wanted. Didn't want a lot of money at all. Again, stupidity. Because if you think of what he was trying to do with those younger players, and when you go back that far, how defensively strong Wales were and how France are looking now, if money was no object, then
Yeah.
fine.
almost.
But
No, if money was no object, if you couldn't get Franco Smith, I'd go with another guy.
John Mitchell.
I kind of touted. John Mitchell, he's one I forgot about, but I was going to say Dave Rennie because he done a good job at Australia, and he was unfairly ousted because a bigger name came up. I think Dave Rennie could help rebuild that side.
Have you ever thought about Felix Jones?
Yeah, but he's under RFU contract. He cannot go to the international team for over a year.
He's not allowed to touch another international team for a while.
But it's only till the end of this year, isn't it?
It's till, I think, the end of the summer internationals next year.
Yeah.
So you'll be talking next July, next August.
But I mean, you saying that whole thing about the contract for his kids. I know the Stormers had that issue with John Mitchell, the fact that we only wanted to offer him a 2-year contract, and he's like, "No, I can't do a 2-year contract because I've got kids. I can't have them for 2 years and then all of a sudden break them." I think he wants something like 4 or 5 years. Which then we ended up with Robbie Fleck, and then moved into John Dobson. But yeah, for me, honestly, right now, like I said, and Doc said last night, you need someone who's transparent. This is my plan and everything like
You
this.
need someone to get the players up. You need someone that
Yeah.
can get the players motivated to play every game.
I also do believe you need to look internally inside your own country because
Welsh Rugby Union needs to be shot. Like
No,
they
but
need sacking.
that's why
There's not a single person at the WRU that should keep their job if they were a serious organization.
But that's why I said internally inside the country, not the union, the country. Someone who believes in the grassroots and actually gets that passion back in, that fire, and everything like that, for Wales, because you just need that, and you got the young players and everything like that. And I mean, I looked at the team this week coming up against the Springboks. I mean, we got one hell of a pack coming up against you guys, and it looks like a young side. And I'm like,
Your bench is insane.
yeah,
Like you must remember, like I said, you must understand something that I said yesterday. Sorry to jump in front of you now. Rugby is a very, very funny game. It's only going to take one little inside step or one brilliant pass on the outside channel, and that can boost the Welsh youngsters. And yes, I know we're all talking about how Gatlin is not doing well, and it's 12, 11 going on 12 in a row that they lost. But it's not just the coach.
Player accountability.
The players must also start to realize and say, we're not going to get fired. The coach is going to get fired. Our contract is safe. Whether we lose, win, it doesn't matter. They must also be held accountable. Yes.
Winning is a habit as much as losing is a habit.
Dan Bigger said that.
And I think there's a lot of, like, Cam Winnett, I think, has played 37 games professional rugby. He's won 7 or 8. Winning's a habit, losing's a habit. If you don't know how to win games, especially not as much as Australia with the Fiji one, which is a close game, if you don't know how to win those close games, you're relying on battering someone. And you look at Wales's next list of games, South Africa and the Six Nations, you think, oh, they're playing Italy. Could they kind of drive Italy close? But I'm thinking, at this current rate, do Wales know how to win those tight games? If they can kind of haul Italy in, and towards the end, Italy won a very tight game there on Sunday, and they won a tight game against Scotland and Rome, and I don't think Wales know how to win those tight games.
Like, and now, because I'm going to Italy to watch that game. Shut up.
No, but I'm not trying. I'm picking Italy as the kind of other, kind of team that Wales will look at saying is the most beatable in their next 6 games, rather than saying that trying to offend you by saying, "Oh, you're going to Rome. I hope you get smashed."
No, I've got to petrifying. The thought of going there is scary because we're not. Sorry, Jack.
Trust me, right now. Right now, I'm a bit scared to be marking in a dark alley after I said I think Alan Jones became a villain because he stayed on too long.
He did go on for too long.
He
did go on for too long. I think sometimes these players don't know when to give up. Because
Anscombe's one of them. He needs
mentally, I just don't know because I'm being nice. Mentally, then it was wrong for Alan Wynne to go on for as long as, mentally he was fine. Physically, he wasn't the player that he was.
Greedy.
And I think this is the problem. People chase a landmark and you've got to be able to walk. To be fair, I think money had a lot to do with it because he was one of the highest players at Ospreys.
And greed.
And these things happen. And I do really like Joe Marler. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh, blinking heck, Joe, why don't you just go ahead and get those 100 caps? And then reading his statement and seeing the stuff that he posted online, it was the right time for him to go. You're right. They can turn into villains.
And they have Finn Baxter coming through as well, which is his club mate, and at the exact same position. So I rate that from Merida that he's kind of stepped aside, that Finn Baxter have a shot at the next generation.
But I mean, here's the thing: is he he did get a lot of heat this week because he was like, "You're going up against the South African scrum. It's probably the most beautiful scrum you will ever see. Those guys will come at you and try hit the fullback in that scrum." And he got under the like, how could you say it? He's like, if you're not nervous to go up against the South African scrum, there is something wrong with you.
Something wrong with you.
You cannot be saying and go, yes, I'm going up against South Africa. You can like, it must be honest. If I was a Welsh player right now and I got selected, I'll probably be sitting there going, yes, I'm getting my cap, but I'm going up against.
But you know what though? I think you've got to take something away from these losses as well, because nobody ever learns anything the easy way. Nobody ever learns anything from getting stuff right. You learn it from the losses, from the knocks. And that's whether you're in sport, in business, in job, in career. Nobody ever learned anything without making a mistake first. And I think that's where we've kind of got to think now. Do we just use the next sort of games or the set of games or whatever to just say, look, bring people in? Because I think a lot of the problem with Warren Gatland as well is, you're right, his rugby style hasn't moved on. He's still playing Warren ball. There are players within Wales that he is overlooking. And I don't know if you guys know, but there's
Morgan Morris,
you know, and then you've got ex-players coming out to say, you know, oh, he's not as good in defence as he is in attack. Well, I can show you the statistics for Morgan Morris that say something entirely different.
He was the best. The year we won the URC, he had the second most tackles after Jack.
Yeah, you know, but he's in that, you know, Jack was overlooked for a long time because it was always, you're too small, Jack. You know, we've got to realise that. Give some of these kids, and I say the kids, I'm 47, I can say the word kids, give some of these kids a run out. You know, you're never going to know if they can be a great international player if you don't give them a go. Give them a go. Dr. Peppers, what is the worst that is going to happen?
You lose 12 games in a row.
Right, me and you are going to fall out in a minute now. Lovely boy.
This is Jacques, just, by the way.
You literally were my favourite coming on here, and now you've blown it. Don't even want to flirt with you anymore now. 16, it's illegal for me to flirt with you. Kirby's married. Jesus, Kirby's also probably much younger than me as well.
She'll go to jail.
I did not think it was that type. My apologies.
This is a 1999 Rugby World Cup shirt that's been signed by Michael Ball and Bryn Terfel. It's older than you.
9 years old.
He wasn't even born yet.
It was 9 years older than me, actually. It's 9 years older.
Are you writing maths this week?
I'm like,
I did. I already done my maths exam. Yeah.
You know,
is that where it is?
Stick with my age range now, Dara. Got to realise I'm old. I'm not the young fitty that I used to be.
You are not old. You're a recycled teenager.
I'm vintage. That's what I keep saying. I'm vintage. I'm vintage. But you know,
by the looks of things, you like a good red wine.
Do you know what? I don't drink anymore. But when I did drink, I was a nightmare. I did used to like red wine.
Kirby, how was I when I was drinking?
When did you ever stop?
5 years ago.
Listen,
but I mean, when you were drinking, when did you ever stop?
Only when I was sleeping.
As Dean Martin said, you know, to people who don't drink, when you wake up in the morning, that is the best you're going to feel all day.
Yeah.
You know, you are also talking to the girl that in the 2005 Grand Slam, I was out in Italy and they were playing in Stadio Flamino, and we won. And I went to visit the Trevi Fountain post-game.
Oh, no.
Don't go dancing in the Trevi Fountain. You might get arrested.
I was in Rome before, and my uncle started drinking out of the fountain. There was
Oh, absolutely.
there was three policemen just watching him, and he was stone cold sober. It was just about 34 degrees. You just see this 40-something-year-old Irish just head down the fountain. I'm just going, oh
I
my
literally was
God.
crying, the policeman, and you could see he didn't know how to deal with me. And I didn't know whether I was crying because I was like, I'd been arrested and like all my family are police, and how am I going to explain this? Or the fact that someone stole my Adidas shell toes while I was in the fountain. So I was just like, ah. In the end, the policeman was like, ciao bella, off you go. But you know, I'm a little bit older this time, so I'm going with my husband, and I'm going to try and be well behaved. As
Be
much as,
good. We'll
Try.
ban you from Italy if you do it again.
oh mate, to be honest, I'm in charge of sorting everything out. There's 6 of us going, and I've been tasked with sorting out a trip around the Colosseum, the Vatican. Now, I'm not being funny. My brother is an absolute nightmare. If I take him into the Vatican, he's going to burst into flames, man. There's no way he's coming out of there without some sort of exorcism. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, and this is the running joke.
Can we send Jacques there? That's
Jack wants to
that's
come on a
what.
jolly with me and the lads. He's more
No,
than
no,
welcome.
no. Just send him to the Vatican. He needs us.
No, no, no. The Vatican is definitely going to burn down.
Does he need a
I'm
young
sorry.
priest and an old priest? Because my brother's not good with horror films either. So I keep saying to him all the time, we're going to get a young priest and we're going to get an old priest. And he's like, shut up, I hate that film. But I am actually the only girl that's going with the other rep. To be fair, whenever I go on these rugby jollies, I am the only girl that goes. So I've literally got the world's worst sense of humour. I've got absolutely no problem with language, and I'm quite happy to use a man's toilet if I need to. So I'm probably, you know, not a great
And you have stylish nails.
I've got what?
You got stylish nails.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things the lads always say about me is I've always got good nails. Yeah, currently got a Christmas set on. I don't know if you can see them. They got
I saw it on
Boks
Twitter.
Yeah.
on. I'm a bit of a girly girl on the quiet, but yeah, going back to Welsh rugby is rather disheartening. But we've got to keep the faith, as George Michael said, really, haven't we? Do you know? Can I
Going
be
back
honest?
to the rugby on the rugby podcast.
Listen, you knew what you signed up when I was coming on. You're lucky you haven't had a Sam's random question.
The reason I'm laughing is we had this lekker old jokes, a good time, I love it, and then back to Welsh rugby, and the mood just goes.
You know what, right?
Yeah.
I'm out on Saturday night. I'm only even going to see the first half. I'm going to see a George Michael tribute with my brother on Saturday night. This is
So
like
you
when
got
I
some
plan
faith.
always.
Wham!
Love my
In the words of Deadpool. Wham!
Can I also tell you something? When I was getting married, I got married in December, and I thought I'll get married in December because there'll be
When?
nothing going on.
When in
First of
December?
December.
Okay, I'm on the 10th.
So me, plan my wedding, all good. And yeah, Wales, Australia decided to move the international window in 2012. So they were playing on the day of my wedding.
Was
So
that
my
the
brother,
game where Courtney Beale scored in the corner in the last minute to
your
win it?
face, Dara, shut up.
That
So
no.
I had to change.
Wales lost.
Me and you were going to fall out in a minute.
Ooh.
I had to change the time of my wedding to an hour earlier, and I had to pay for big tellies to be put in the venue for everyone. You were off my Christmas list, you are.
Just to watch Wales lose in the last minute.
Listen here now. You are on the
That
naughty
was the
list.
year Courtney Beale scored in the corner in the last minute.
You are
Wins the game.
literally not. Do you know what?
You know, I was
I'm not
rooting
even
for
old
Wales in
enough
that
to
game.
remember the game, and I still know about it.
Cole.
I was
that's
actually
what you were
rooting.
getting.
I was rooting for Wales in that game because we always hate Australia. So I was like, come on.
They yeah, they're the criminal undercurrent, aren't they? Really? Do you know what I mean? There's a reason why we sent them over there.
There was a comment about the Australia England game. They're like, what do you call it? They sent the criminals away, but they just came back and stole the game at the end.
Oh, do you know what? That always does amuse me. But yeah,
Curtly
so
Blue was a legend.
I could
A
what?
drunkard legend.
He was a legend. He was a brilliant player. I'll give it to him.
When he only had 4 or 5 pretty much specials, he was
Sniffed
okay.
us.
Yeah. Can't if it works, it works. You can't play it.
Yeah.
I play darts, so that's all about having 4 or 5 or 50 pretty
Because you're
Your
just a
matches.
little
Twitter is
prick,
full
that's
of
why.
darts. Oh my gosh, that was me. He could be the new Luke Littler, except he's not round.
No, I actually don't eat and nothing else.
I
Uh,
talking of that, I was laughing the other night because someone actually said to all these kids whose parents take them out to like football, rugby in the wind, the rain, and everything else. And then when Luke Littler got to the darts final last year, all the dads were like, shit, we could have been taking our kids to the pub the whole way along, and then he could be like an internationally renowned sportsman by the time of 16. And you just think, yeah, because I've been there when I've taken my brother's kids to like sport and it's absolutely humping down in rain and you're thinking there's got to be more to life than this than on a Sunday morning,
Yeah.
when I've usually been out till 4 a.m. and I'm like hanging, But
well,
this is what happens when you get me on, see, you digress. But
I
I'm more
think
fun than the other two.
we should move on to this week's games.
See,
Starting
this
off
is
with,
what happens. This is what happens every time. As soon as we get into the rhythm, we should be moving on.
Listen,
Jesus,
it's my fault. I'm the one with the personality. Like the other two,
this is going to be a 2-hour episode. Just by the way,
It's
going.
fine. I've got nothing to do tomorrow.
The
Just
I still have to
the
render.
other two. Jacques has a personality. That's a new one.
No.
I got a bloody.
Rod and Mark. I'm obviously the one with the personality.
Oh,
And
yeah. I've got
So-
a Germany song in the morning.
There's Jacques,
Quarter past 8.
then there's Jacques the ref, and then there's Dachi.
Dachi.
That's
He's got
Jacques'
about 15
nickname.
names. He's got about
Okay.
15 names. The Blue Fontaine Blaster is another.
Blue
favorite.
Fontaine Blaster. Okay, that needs a little bit more explanation. Let's unpack
Trust
that
me,
a little bit.
I
Okay,
actually meant to say. I actually meant to say bastard, not
Okay.
blaster.
Let me reel it back in. We're starting off this weekend with France versus Argentina, and yeah, I have to say it's definitely going to be a France win this weekend. No,
France
Jacques,
by
it
5.
will not.
France by
We should
five.
do
Vive la révolution!
Le Bleu.
Allez les bleus!
They're cheese-eating surrender monkeys. They just let the Germans roll right in.
And God, don't talk about Germans and Argentina in the same sentence, Sam, please, because we really can't. We really can't do that.
And then the easiest game of the weekend, the easiest game, Ireland versus Fiji.
Fiji by 60.
Okay.
18 all draw.
I was waiting for that.
I was expecting. I said it so Jacques couldn't say it, but of course I forgot the inevitable draw prediction that he does every week was going to come into play.
I think it's going to be tighter than you think.
Every week, Jacques predicts at least one draw. Every single week, and none of them have happened.
And
So
then,
was this week. I could be the lucky charm.
and then
Oh,
what you call it? The team that had during the World Cup, there was 5 scrum halves on the field. Romania versus Uruguay.
Romania by
Uruguay.
10.
Uruguay.
I think Uruguay because Uruguay's
You're a bit
a little
picky.
bit more in the
Plus,
swing of it right now.
to be honest, they have a top five scrum half in the world, Uruguay, Santiago Arata, which is just better than most other tier 2 teams have.
And then there's the game which we won't dwell on too much, but Wales versus the Springboks. I said but 21. I wasn't talking 3 figures like your other two.
Cymru
Bella.
Erbis, Wales,
All
please,
right.
30
please,
plus.
please,
30
please
plus.
shut them up.
I
Did he
could
just
go
say 50 or
35 now.
15?
30.
3-0.
But
Like our
35, I would
age.
say 35.
My age. That's
Yeah,
my age.
South Africa.
I'm literally the oldest person on here. Like, please tell me I'm not the oldest. Yeah, I am, and I.
You're not the
Just
oldest.
take a break.
You're not the oldest. Don't worry, I am.
Wait, granddad.
Yes, my son.
Oh, listen now. I am old enough to be your man, and then some. Like, behave now.
You do not want to hear. You do not want to hear the age of my man.
How old is your mum? Depress me. Go on.
46.
But you're a year older than her.
Still.
Don't tell her though, but I'm probably cooler than her because I've probably got loads of Lego more than her. Not even gonna lie.
You edit nothing of this. Mustn't be edited out. I want to hear all of this tomorrow. Thank you.
And then we got Italy versus New Zealand.
Oh,
New Zealand.
New
Italy
Zealand.
win for Italy.
Italy by 4.
I'm
Italy
going
by 14.
New Zealand by 15.
By 72.
Did,
What's that,
just wait,
Italia?
but did New Zealand put in the C team or is it number 1?
Oh, let me see.
I
if
don't know. I haven't
hasn't-
seen their team
I
actually.
don't know. I don't think Rod is going to be
No,
too happy with you,
squad
Sam,
hasn't been,
predicting them to get battered.
squad hasn't
Still
been
waiting
released
for an
yet.
invite to Rod to have pizza out of his outdoor pizza album off his Italian mum. So what pizza did he get?
Or you know, the fact that now he's a passionate Italian rather than a Welsh fan.
He is half Italian, so I will give him that. Like, do you know what I mean? But
Are you
The
gonna-
second
are you gonna
Italy win a
email this-
game, the shirt comes on and he's all.
he's
You
a
know,
traitor.
he-
I'm telling
Yeah,
you. He's a
he
fair
always-
He's going to be like the rugby guy. You know the rugby guy where he sits, he's like,
Oh yeah, but sure, he's got more
Man.
jerseys than I. He's got more jerseys than I at tops in general. So like,
and he's a Cape Townian from South Africa.
I think we should try to get him on.
I have been trying.
why would he deal with you, Jack? He's got better
Because
things to be doing.
Because he's a Trotsa of South Africa.
Is he the guy on TikTok who does
Yeah.
all the English fan things?
Yeah.
The goose step.
Yeah, he's always getting people through the goose step.
Should
Yes.
I try and slide into his DMs for you? I might have more luck than you lot.
Yes.
Do it.
Yeah.
See what
Don't get me to do a goose step.
I'll send a ex-Scottish international details to you if he says it's okay. Who we might be talking to next
Was I
week.
proper love him?
No, it wasn't a
That's-
prop. He played for the Stormers, he played for Glasgow, and he played for.
I know, but would I be like, oh yeah, that's nice.
And he played SA ice hockey as a goalkeeper. Just
I
big
love
time.
ice
Oh,
hockey.
I know who it is. I know who it is.
Who?
I also know who it is.
But no, it's not Hugh Jones. No.
No,
No. Under what rock were you born at?
Stormers, Glasgow, and former. Sure, Hugh Jones played for both of them, Jack. It's not that
Yeah, but-
outlandish a prediction.
He said the name last week.
I've got dementia. I've been too busy focusing on studying for exams rather
You
than
are
remembering
12
what he
years,
said
you're
last week.
12 years old. You're supposed to know. Remember.
I'm 16.
but anyway,
16,
no.
not
I
12.
don't want to say too much until we've what to go. And also, he was part of the Toulon setup as well at one stage.
Send me a
Um,
number. You can WhatsApp me. You can go part of my WhatsApp crew.
Yeah. Then
Be
we
thinking
got
about
Scotland going up against Australia.
Scotland by 3.
Scotland by
Scotland.
5.
Scotland will stop the Grand Slam. in
By
my
5.
opinion.
I have to go with Australia by 5.
Australia by 11.
Do you think Australia will do the Grand Slam?
Yeah.
Yeah. The way they're playing right now, yes. But
No, I
don't
gotta
forget,
stick with my husband.
they still got one more
I've got
game
to
to
stick-
complete
I've got to
the
stick
Grand
with
Slam.
Scotland as well because I don't have a.
No, but
I don't have a
don't
choice.
forget,
I don't
they
have a
got
choice.
yes, they still have one more game to complete.
They have Ireland. They have Ireland in Dublin after
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Then
Right, you
England's
can put my
hosting
Scotland
Japan.
shirt on for it.
We got England hosting Japan. I think England's
England.
finally going to have a
England by
win.
24.
Eddie Jones said is a good day for the world. So England.
Though Eddie
Oh,
Jones knows half the
really?
team already, so
Yeah, but Japan aren't. England already battered Japan in Japan this year.
true.
I just don't
Yeah.
like him. There's something unlikable about him.
The scummy Irish. and then we beat them to win the Grand Slam at Twickenham the next time we played them.
He just bumps his gums a lot. Just annoys me.
Sure, look at what he done to Australia, and look at what Joe Schmidt is doing with a pretty similar team.
And to think he was almost the Stormers coach.
Oh God,
What
I
a
wish he was the
swerve.
Shark. I wish he was the Sharks coach.
No, they just got a New Zealander. A Kiwi.
Don't pick on him. He's got lovely hair for his age.
No, I'm being serious. They got Plumtree, who's a
I'm
Kiwi.
surprised he still has it.
Oh, you naughty.
Just watch, in like 5 years, Dara's got no hair left.
Has your dad still got his hair? Because that's what you
Yeah.
potentially got.
Yeah. No.
Can I just say, we
Everyone-
talked about Marcus Smith and his hair. That boy needs a thinning scissors on his hair.
And a
Oh,
diet.
He needs a South African flat hand against his face.
Although
As
the
you
one
call it,
man
it's
in
a
rugby,
PK.
the one man in rugby who should not allow to be cut his hair was Roman Intimac. It would be a crime for that man to cut his hair.
Yeah, but the thing is with Intermac, he doesn't have it hanging in his eyes. That's why I still say, what you call it, Marcus Smith is still looking for Curtly Arnser from that sidestep 2 years ago.
No, but
It's almost
wait,
like you say that every week, Kirby.
Exactly.
It's almost like you
Because
say
it's
that
true.
every
he
week.
does. But is that the same as how what's that fullback of England, Stewart? Is he still looking for Grant Williams
No, and Cheslin.
and Jason Colby as well?
Oh, do you know what I'm not getting? The mullet, the shaved insides and the mullet at
Yeah. Bring back the Joel Marler mohawk, in my opinion.
the hair for
Erfie
like
Snyman does.
hairs.
Jacques,
No,
I'll give you,
Erfurt Snyman.
Jacques, I'll give you 20 rands to get a mohawk.
No,
Which
don't
is-
do it.
Do it, come on.
Zog's
lad.
thinking he needs a haircut. He'll probably go with the thing and then he cuts it normally. But just so you know, don't forget, Archie Snyman and even Etzebeth had homemade mohawks
Mohawks.
after the World Cup. In fact, that was after a lot of brandy and coke as well.
Oh God, I don't think there was much coke, to be honest. Now, Kirby, I think it was just brandy.
Yeah. Ugh,
Coke was
no,
just in there
Brandy
for
nearly killed me
calorie.
once.
Okay, I'll make you a deal. I'm not somebody to back off from a challenge.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Just to give you
I
an
don't know.
idea, just to give you the idea how serious I am when I'm being challenged is my brother's wife dared me to jump into the swimming pool while he was busy giving his speech at his wedding.
And
And
I
you
made
did
a
it,
back,
of course you did. Yeah.
I made a backsummer into the swimming pool. I got chased away from his wedding. So
you're my kind of guy. I do
I
shit like
will,
that.
I will do that. I will do
And
it.
a naked
but-
mile.
Oh yes.
Needs to be blonde as well. Dye it.
How long is this
It is
podcast going to
blonde.
be?
3 hours.
Jesus.
All right, but I'll do it when we close off for the year. I'll do it on the last one because I
Oh,
can't
can I
do
come
it.
back for that? I'll come back for that.
Okay.
Oh, you also
Because
get
I'm
one on the 9th of
Mohawk.
May.
Whenever it is, I'll do it.
Happy
All right.
days.
Well, since the challenge has been laid down, I think that's a perfect time to end this episode. Sam, thank you so much for joining us. It was such an awesome pleasure to have you here. I do love the way how you go on and stuff. Do you have one of those Sam questions for us?
I do actually, guys, and I was really disappointed. I even went on Instagram and called those pair out because I actually sent them a random question yesterday, which is quite frankly rude that they didn't use it.
Yes,
So
it was rude. Agreed.
very rude. You know, I'm known for my randos. If someone was making a film of your life, who would you want to star as you in it?
All right, all right, all right.
Matt LeBlanc.
Matt LeBlanc, Commando.
Do you share food?
Reasonability. Oh, he doesn't share food, does he? Yeah, actually, that
Doesn't
makes
share
sense.
food.
Actually, Matt LeBlanc doesn't share food. That makes sense. Matt LeBlanc for Jacques. Yep, there we go. Perfect.
That's why I'm lucky hefty and stomach.
Listen.
That's a nice one, Jacques.
Go to
Don't say
Lemon
so,
Head.
so, please.
Who's it? Timothy Chalamet for
12.
Dara, the guy from Dune.
I've
Timothy
never watched.
Chalamet.
Yeah.
I've never watched Dune.
I would say for Dara, I'll use Charlize Theron.
I don't know who these people are. I don't actually
Why
know
were
who
not?
these people are. I know who Matt LeBlanc is, and I've watched Friends like 100 times. Of course, I know who Matt
Shelton
LeBlanc is.
Copley.
I don't know who these people are.
Charlize Theron. That's hilarious.
Shelton
Ryan
Copley.
Gosling.
No,
You're not
I
Ryan
think
Gosling stands. I hate to break this to you.
Shelton Copley.
Who are these
District
people?
9. District
Who the
9.
hell is who's Copley? What the hell are you talking about?
District 9.
Yeah.
Oh,
You've not seen District 9?
I have.
Elysium.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Scottish husband,
Anyway.
just not friend. John, if they were making a film of my life, who would play me in the movie? I know, it's a random. What, Whoopi Goldberg?
Whoopi Goldberg.
She's like the bird from Sister Act. You mean the fat one, Kathy Najimy? The one who was in Hocus Pocus. You're right. That is a good shout. Yeah, my mother always says she looks like me. I'd be the bird from Hocus Pocus and Sister Act.
Apparently I have a bit of an
also-
Owen Wilson look this way.
No, dude, your nose is it's too straight, dude. It's too straight. But Sam, you know that Whoopi Goldberg is a black lady, right?
Yeah, no, that's why he said Sister Act. I was like, what, Whoopi Goldberg? No, Kathy Najimy is the chunky nun in that.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of oh God. When I was drinking, I was a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. So my party trick when I was drunk was to take a tea towel, pop it over my head, and do the I Will Follow Him from Sister Act. Still occasionally do that when I'm sober as well. But you know, we come to a decision about Dara. Yeah, who's going to play Dara?
Shelton Copley.
I
Yeah.
don't know who that is. I don't know who that is.
Did you ever watch Maleficent, since that is a Disney movie?
I've never even heard of it. Never mind watched it.
What,
I
you
still
don't
go
have
with-
Disney Plus? You mean
I still
real?
go with Charlize Theron.
I don't.
Why don't you have Disney Plus?
Because I'm above the age of 7. That's why.
Deadpool.
Right, you are like literally now, right? You are insulting me and all 15 of my tattoos, my good boy.
Okay,
You
everybody
have
say
15
I if
Disney
we should
tattoos.
pick Dara off this episode. So
Yeah, I got 15 tattoos. What's got
Only
to
I'll
do?
15.
leave it.
Only 15. I've got 3.
My legs are a bit like a
Jacques,
coloring book.
Jacques, now I don't know how good you are at maths, but 3 is less than 15, my boy.
I got my feet. My feet are done. I've got a Bohemian Sun and Moon on my feet. I've also got like a massive Bohemian Sun and Moon on my back. I am old enough to have an official Trump stamp at the bottom of my spine.
no, that is a pride. Them, not
It's
Trump. You must
absolutely
be
fine.
proud
It's
for.
horrific. It's over 25 years old. It's horrific. And then my legs look like a Disney coloring book. Like I got Stitch, Lady in the
My
Tramp.
wife and I have matching ones that look like our wolves are
I've
looking
got a
at each
matching
other.
one. Got a matching one with John Boy on my ankle because he's from Aberdeen.
Oh.
I've got like a
I
Scottish
forgot
room
that
type.
one and this one.
I can show you that one, which
For
is like
12.
it's a weird sort of, why can't we do that? But anyway, it's kind of like it's a reverse Gemini symbol type thing. But
I
yeah,
just got called downstairs to get told the family event is on tomorrow. Apologies for just running outside of the room.
just because you were naughty. But
Yes.
you know. But it's been
But
a
yeah,
pleasure. Thank you for having
yeah.
me on. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself.
It's
And
a
you know, I
pleasure
will
meeting you.
understand if you never ask me back.
I will definitely ask for your socials so we can actually put it up in our thing. I'll reach out to
My
Rod now and
Insta's
just ask him to.
interesting.
I could send it on to you, Kirby.
Yes, can you please send it on to me? And everything like that.
If you
Thank
if you
you.
say if you're nice. If you're not nice, I'm just not going to. So,
Um,
that's really.
Dara
Ah.
just wants to be my only friend.
He's trying to suck up.
Oh, shut up, Jacques. Not even Jacques.
It wasn't even me.
I'm just so used to saying it to Jacques.
Yeah.
He's usually mouthing.
I think
My
we need a
apologies.
WhatsApp group, guys.
Do it.
Oh, you do
We
not
should
want
have
to
a
see our WhatsApp group.
crossover WhatsApp group.
Do you know
Oh,
what none of you
no.
mentioned? Did you see the AI South African drag queens that Rod did for me?
Oh yes, I did.
I thought that was just Jacques.
No. Did you like the crossover video that I made for you guys, for us?
Thought it was great.
I'm actually
Really
putting
good.
that as our intro right here today.
I love it. I've really enjoyed myself. You know.
Yeah. But thanks very much.
Thanks for
I
having
think
you on.
it looks like Jacques is getting eaten by mosquitoes right now. So I think
The mosquitoes are killing me.
How warm is it
Uh,
down there? Because it's currently like
Thank God.
-1 here.
It's -3 here. You know?
It
Like,
is. Let's have
It's
a look.
cold. We've had snow today.
21.
Oh, I hate you right now.
I've got thunderstorms outside right now at 19
That's
degrees.
perfect. 21 is perfect.
No, I hate the summer. I want winter.
Thank God, because mosquitoes. There's no mosquitoes in Ireland, so or Wales. I've
Just
haven't been to
leprechauns.
Wales I haven't been to Wales in 8 years, and I know there's no mosquitoes there.
When
There's
coming
no
to stay with me now.
leprechauns in Ireland. I got asked that before by an American, dead seriously, walking around my hometown asking me where the leprechauns were. We do not have leprechauns.
Don't
There's a
worry,
bee
we got asked, do you take your wild animals to school? Like, yeah, we go get on our elephant and walk to work and everything.
Hey, Brew, watch my lion here with me, Brew.
I love it.
But anyway, guys.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yes, have a great one, guys.
Cheers.
Until next week, my fellow champions,
Bye, guys.
stay safe.